Hey there, folks. It is about that time to get started today. Before we jump in, if there is anybody in the chat, please let me know if the audio is coming through loud and clear. I would hate to get going here while I am still muted, so anybody in the chat, feel free to please let me know, first and foremost, where you are listening in to, or where you are listening in from today, and if you're hearing me loud and clear. We'll just give it a quick second, take a little coffee break nice and early. Awesome, y'all. Well, I guess silence is golden in this case, so we will go ahead and jump straight in. Just before we go ahead and get started, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Sam Jameson with the Eventbrite Customer Experience Team, and today we're going to be talking about all about Facebook and Instagram marketing for your events, and giving you an introduction to what exactly is Eventbrite Boost and how can I use the marketing tools to help empower my event, get my event in front of more people, help sell more tickets, and sell out our event at the end of the day. I always like making these interactive sessions, so please, if you have any questions, I'm going a little bit too quick over anything, there's anything I could explain in further detail, please make sure to slow me down, ask your questions. I just ultimately want to make sure that you are walking away today feeling empowered, that you're learning some awesome things here that you can apply towards your events. So let's just go ahead and jump in here. So, you know, I feel like for a lot of us, and personally, I really empathize with a lot of you that as event creators, we're wearing so many different hats from everything from coordinating our events to basically handling all the marketing for ourselves. In a lot of cases, event marketing can feel really challenging. To give you a little bit of context, where I actually started with event marketing, I was the multimedia photography intern at a venue up in the Bay Area. The marketing director was really slammed, as many of you are, with tons of responsibilities, and they were looking for somebody to help run all the paid ads, basically handle all the marketing. So I stepped into the role, and I personally know how kind of difficult it felt for me when I was just jumping into all this without a ton of experience in the past. So I just want to assure you that, we are here to make event marketing easier. I really empathize with a lot of you that are wearing many hats, handling a lot of different things, and ultimately, I just want to let you know that event marketing really doesn't have to be hard, and that's kind of our main goal to simplify it here for you with Boost. So from the data that we've seen so far, comparatively to Ads Manager, creators using Eventbrite Boost on average sell around 16% more tickets to their events. And we'll go into some of the specifics, but part of the reason is you as Eventbrite creators have a lot of valuable data that you collect. You collect data on people that purchase for your events, but a lot of times it can be difficult whenever you're running ads or trying to use ads to actually incorporate this data that you've done a really, really good job, whether you've known it or not, collecting over the, whether you've just been getting started over the past couple months or over a couple of years. So our goal with Eventbrite Boost is to empower you to use that data that you are basically collecting to help you run better ad campaigns than if you were running it in something like Facebook. So jumping into it, I feel a lot of the reasons personally from what we've seen and from what we've heard from our creators of why event marketing feels difficult is first and foremost, it's kind of difficult to know what campaign to run at the right time. A lot of times, unless we've taken something like a detailed course telling us exactly what to do, a lot of times if we jump into something like Facebook Ads Manager to run a campaign, we're either just doing the most simple suggested option that they give us, which really isn't as well designed, it's not as well put together, and probably will get you minimal results. Or you're kind of going into that interface and it feels like you're just in the middle of a maze. There's 20 different options of different things you could run, but you don't ultimately know what's important for you and your business. And then ultimately, a lot of really good automated advertising tools are either too complex or too expensive, or were designed for somebody over at Coca-Cola with a Harvard MBA, 20-person marketing team, $1 million daily ad budget. And a lot of times it feels like the systems that were already designed were designed for people that weren't necessarily in our industry or were in something like e-commerce. And then, lastly, if you ultimately a lot of times we just don't have enough time in our day to go learn something like Facebook group. Really allocate a bunch of time to researching, learning these new skills or tools because you have so many other skills and responsibilities that you need to take care of. And then ultimately, if we do take that full plunge into the pool, we begin using something like Ads Manager or another tool. It can feel like the data or reporting wasn't really built for people in our industry, or even, if we're very savvy with it, a lot of times sometimes we'll have a hard time making sense of that data to understand how is my investment in my advertising actually benefiting me in the event that I am promoting. And I'd say probably the best analogy that I could give is, especially for many of us in the event space, it feels like we're just squeezing lemons, trying to get as most of that ad budget as we can possible, working with very, very limited budgets. So ultimately, what we've tried to do is create an all-in-one marketing platform that lives within Eventbrite. So those of you that are free creators, just free events, don't have much of an ad budget, you have things like publishing your event to Facebook, email marketing campaigns that you can take advantage of, where for you more savvy creators or those that have a little bit more budget to invest in advertising your event, we've also combined this with a sophisticated automated ad platform to help you run really powerful ad campaigns to get in front of individuals that would be very likely to attend your events. So if you've noticed the new marketing tab within Eventbrite, this is where all of this effectively lives. And kind of our ethos with Boost was, let's build an all-in-one marketing platform for all the tools that are actually most vital and important for you marketing your events live within one place within your Eventbrite dashboard. So it's very easy for you to create campaigns, to promote your events, or use free tools like email within the exact same place that you are creating your Eventbrite events. So I'd like to just briefly kind of talk about a couple different components of Boost, just as I know, not everybody in here might have the ad budget to actually invest in paid ads. So for those of you that are just looking for, nice and easy free options, I'd love to give you some of the most important things that I would probably recommend that you do that you can take advantage of. So, first and foremost, I would say one of the most important things, and if there's any takeaway I could give you today, make sure that you are using that add your event to Facebook feature or the publish your event to Facebook. And the reason this is so important is, especially coming after COVID in this past year, where everybody's still coming out to events at their own speed whenever they feel comfortable. Facebook events are a fantastic tool, not only to make it very accessible for those to purchase. So as you can kind of see on the right, if individuals are purchasing through Facebook, it uses the embedded checkout flow with Eventbrite. So they effectively don't even need to leave Facebook to purchase those tickets. So it makes it a very seamless and easy transition user flow. But if somebody's not necessarily ready to purchase, let's say I come across your event, even if I visit your event, I'm now kind of in your remarketing funnel, so you could actually remarket to me later down the road if you ever wanted to run paid ads. But at the very least, if I hit interested or going, even just organically, or I come across a Facebook event ad, if I hit interested or going, I'm going to be constantly getting notifications from Facebook, basically reminding me to go check out the event so I don't forget about it. And then you, as the advertiser, actually kind of have this pool or this audience of people that expressed interest that you can easily stay in contact with whenever you post in the event or you actually want to be running some paid ads. So, y'all, if there's any takeaway I could give you, please make sure you're using that add your event to Facebook feature. It really only takes a couple minutes to go ahead and get that event published, but it is basically going to be a really good foundation for you if you don't necessarily need to invest in paid advertising, but you just want something very simple that'll make it accessible for people to buy, help you grow social proof, engagement, and awareness. But you can also take these events that you create, run ads to them. That's a very, very effective method of advertising if you ever want to level up down the road. So just wanted to kind of spend a little bit of time on that, as it's really important for a lot of people's advertising strategies and basically the most simple thing that you could do just to have something free to start publishing and promoting your event. And then second, this is for those of you that have been on Eventbrite for a while, you're probably already familiar with the email campaign functions. This is a great alternative if you're not looking to invest in something like MailChimp or Constant Contact. Just want some basic email functionality for customizable emails that you can send to either your prospects or past attendees to just make sure that they're aware of all the exciting events that you have upcoming. Just a really nice customizable email tracking tool that you have here to send out emails and then track the data of how individuals interact with those. So if you're also not using the email function, I'd highly recommend looking into it, as it's another great free tool to be using as well. But today's main focus, everybody, that we're going to be talking about is how to advertise on Facebook and Instagram, best practices for actually promoting your events. We'll go basically into all the details. Just to give you a little bit of an agenda of how we'll do it, I'm going to show you some actual specific examples of some of the best campaigns, so some of the best people in our industry that are running ads, basically highlighting how they're using the service, what they're effectively doing, and then we'll jump into an actual campaign creation process. And I'd love If some of you would also let me know some of the different types of events that you're throwing, it always just helps gives me a little bit of inspiration as we get into that ad creation process. I can try to show you how you would actually create these ads for some of your events. So whenever you get the chance, just feel free in the chat to drop in and let me know what types of events are you throwing, just so I have a little bit of inspiration. But let's just go ahead and jump into it. So first and foremost, I just want to let you know where you effectively will find Eventbrite Boost whenever you are in the interface. So if you are in that marketing tab, after going to the Manage My Event section, normally where you create those events on Eventbrite, you'll simply want to click over to the Marketing tab, and then we have all the different features that we had talked about. Today, we're mainly focusing on the Facebook and Instagram ads, so you would want to click to this Ad Campaign section. Now, the first thing that you're going to notice is this graph that we have, this kind of orange graph that has like an early bird, halfway there, and last call phase. Half the battle that we've effectively found from all of our experiences with helping creators run ad campaigns, half the battle to actually running a good campaign to promote your event is simply running the right campaign during the right time whenever your customers are most likely to purchase or register. And the biggest pitfall or the biggest mistakes that I see a lot of us make when we try to run ad campaigns is we might be overspending on the wrong type of ad campaign at a timing period where our customers aren't that likely to purchase, or we might be running the right ad campaign for a different time at a completely different time in our sales cycle. And we know that's a really big challenge, and unless you have a lot of experience in this industry, it might be kind of difficult for you to figure out what campaign should I run at the right time. So we've actually automated this into the platform. So whenever you hop into the ad campaign section, this graph is actually going to be specific and unique to you based on how your customers normally on average purchase and register for your events. So if you're a new Eventbrite creator, it might not have the best sample size of data in here, and we'll try to show a similar event creator within your space of how people normally purchase. But the more events you have on Eventbrite, the more accurate this graph is going to get to show you on average really how are people actually purchasing for your events. So for my event that I have right here, I generally get, it's pretty even throughout the different cycles. I have a really big spike in people actually registering as we get started, then it kind of flattens out over the next period, and then it tends to trend up within the last few days. So every single buying cycle for events, normally there are some similarities, but you can have some unique buying cycles where for concert events, in a lot of cases, we see a really big spike in that early bird with right when kind of those tickets go on sale. Then sales teeter down for a little bit and pick back up at the end. But if we were something maybe like a comedy event or a digital event, we might actually be seeing maybe the vast majority of our purchases kind of in that last week leading up to the event. So we built out a tool here that all you need to do to get some really good automated suggestions on what should I be advertising is simply use the dropdown to choose the event that you would like to advertise, and we'll actually suggest the best campaign that you should be running based on all the data that we've seen from other individuals running campaigns. So instead of you having to spend a lot of time making the decision of, really am I running the right campaign, we'll handle that automatically for you. So that was just kind of a basic example of where you can find Boost within the interface. But let's actually go and dive into some actual campaign examples just to show you, what are the good things that some of the best people in this industry are doing, and then we'll hop back and actually go create some campaigns ourselves. Perfect. So now we are looking at a campaign right here ran by one of our customers, Cream Events, out in New Zealand. They were running a campaign for one of their upcoming festivals. So let's just kind of scroll down and take a general look through the UI, and then we'll go into the specifics of some of this. But just to give you context on what the ad that they were running, they were running one of those Facebook Rsvp ads. So why I spent a little bit of time talking about those Facebook events is if you end up publishing your event over to Facebook, you can run an ad campaign that helps you promote that Facebook event. So this was actually the type of ad that they were running here. They had published their event over to Facebook, and then were running an ad helping promote that Facebook event. So they made a really good call here in the kind of the type of the campaign that they were running is this campaign was ran a few months ago. As you can see, the festival was on August 6th. So they were running this campaign. If we scroll up to the top, they were running this in around May. So they were still a few months out. So they knew maybe not a lot of people might be likely to purchase now, so let's run one of these style of ads that makes it easy for those that want to purchase, but for those that aren't quite ready to commit to making that purchase, we're still growing our remarketing audiences. So this is a bit of a preview of the type of reporting that you would see within Boost. We've basically tried to rework Ads Manager and make it actually relevant to the things that are most important for you as an event creator, understanding how your investment on your ads is actually translating to results. So up towards the top, if you end up selling any tickets through your ad campaign, as this creator did here, basically this creator spent around 275 bucks on their ad and they made around close to 6K back worth in ticket sales. So that's a 20x return on ad spend. Just to let y'all know, if you ever run ads and don't quite see the return on ad spend equal to this, I wouldn't sweat it. This definitely is a highlight example. Normally, kind of the average return on ad spend in a lot of cases nowadays is anywhere between a 1 to 4x. And the reason for that is there's actually been a lot of changes to privacy tracking. I don't know if many of you heard about Apple's iOS 14 changes, but kind of the mechanisms we used to use in the past to basically track purchases that would come from our ad, many people are now opting out of that type of tracking. So we've created something unique at Boost called offline tracking that if somebody buys for your Eventbrite event using the same email they use to purchase on Facebook or Instagram, we can also help track those purchases. So we really have been kind of keyed into some of the recent changes that have happened and have tried to build this tool out with some really unique features that kind of counter the recent changes to help you really understand, how are my ad dollars actually translating to ticket sales. So I just wanted to take a brief second there that if you're not quite seeing a 20x return on ad spend with what you're running, don't feel bad as this definitely is a highlight example. And then we'll also try to let you know, okay, just how many people in general did you end up reaching with that ad? And how many interactions did you actually have with your ad, getting people in an audience that you could now retarget to? One of the biggest elements of us running ad campaigns is even though people might not be ready to quite commit to making that purchase, whenever somebody interacts with that ad, views that ad, clicks on the ad to go to the end destination, or in something like this where they have a Facebook Rsvp ad where they might hit interested or growing, all of those people could now be remarketed to a little bit later on down the road, maybe when we know our customers are a lot more likely to purchase. So we'll try to let you know, okay, in this case, we had around 1,300 new people that we could remarket. And we also do have budget optimization that we'll go into a little bit, kind of showing you, okay, if we were to do a lot of manual optimization to try to get the most out of our ad, how much time would we effectively be spending if we were doing a lot of that optimization? But you can see here that even though this ad did a good amount of purchases, it was also really cool as they got around 500 people to RSVP to their upcoming event. So these are all people now in their remarketing audience that are going to get notifications about that event that we could remarket to later on down the road. And scrolling down further, we've really tried to build this system out in a way to help you incorporate some of the powerful audiences based on data that you've collected from Eventbrite, pages you end up getting access to, etc., that can be really difficult when you're building an ad in Facebook. The analogy I can maybe give here is it's almost like a meal prep service like HelloFresh. It's a lot easier to cook the meal when you have all of your ingredients prepared for you in the same place right when you're actually cooking the meal. A lot of times when you're building an ad on Facebook, it might feel like you have to go to the grocery store to build the audience, and then you're in the kitchen having to prep your meal. So basically what we've tried to do is make it very easy for you to create audiences as we go. We can even automate creating audiences for you that are very difficult to build in Facebook, such as targeting people that have bought from you in the past on Eventbrite, which is normally one of the audiences that actually ends up driving the most sales in a lot of cases, or target people that interact with you on Facebook, your Facebook events, your past campaigns, etc. So this creator here was actually using a lot of different audiences. I know a lot of numbers on the screen right here, but kind of each row represents like a different group of people we were targeting. So they targeted a group of people. It was a kind of electronic music festival, so they targeted people interested in this genre of music and other similar festivals. They basically targeted people that had bought from them in the past or interact with their social media accounts. They also use the data of their past purchasers to help go after and target people that are similar. So that's a really cool tool. I don't know if any of you have heard of lookalike audiences before. Basically, what a lookalike is, it's a way that you can use data that you've collected to help go after people that are similar with your ad campaign And one of the best audiences to help you go after new people is taking the data of people that have purchased from you in the past and building a lookalike off that. So this creator right here, they built an audience that allowed them to go after people that were very similar to those that had bought from them in the past. And they also made another audience of people that were similar to those that interact with their Facebook events. So another reason why it's important to use that add to Facebook tool is, let's say you get 20,000 people that interact with your Facebook events over the course of 6 months to a year. You can use that data to help you go after people that are very similar with ad campaigns. So everything kind of funnels down essentially. And down towards the bottom, you also can A/B test different versions of your creative. So let's say you have a couple different images, you have a couple different videos, you don't know which one's actually going to perform the best. We've really tried to build this system out in a way that allows for A/B testing. So if you want to incorporate, multiple creatives or multiple audiences, our system will actually move budget from the poor performing audiences or creatives to the ones that are performing better. You could kind of think about it almost as using a service like TurboTax. If you do your taxes on yourself, you might miss out on a little bit of optimization and it takes a lot of time. But if you pay a small fee to use a service like TurboTax, they normally end up getting you a higher return for what you're actually doing, more cash back in terms of your tax refund. So that's essentially kind of a very similar thing that we are doing here. So that's kind of the basics of the campaign reporting. So let's go ahead and actually dive in and create a couple campaigns. Anybody in the chat, please feel free to let me know what types of events are y'all throwing, as I would love to have a little bit of inspiration for when we go through the targeting process to maybe give you some inspiration on, what could I target or how could I create my campaigns. So normally the easiest way to get started creating a campaign is simply in that strategy section. So whether you're working from it here or in another tab, just go ahead and select the event that you would like to advertise and then go ahead and hit that get started button and we'll actually recommend an objective for you. I'll take a quick sec for a sip of coffee here. Awesome. So the first step of creating any campaign is simply choosing what's the objective that we would like to run for that campaign. So based on that sales curve, so that group of data, awesome, Vanessa, thank you so much. So home buying seminars, free events, awesome. So definitely, at least if you are doing some free events, sometimes it's a little bit easier for a free event to market, as people, they don't have to pay anything to actually market that event. So definitely you can do marketing for free events as well, but I would suggest make sure you're also using that publish your event to Facebook, as in a lot of cases, if people are registering to a good amount of events, you're getting a good amount of traction. Facebook can actually do some nice organic promotion for you too as well. So if you go and publish one of those events over to Facebook, you get a lot of people RSVPing or a lot of people registering. It normally is good traction for the event. Facebook kind of thinks it's a higher quality event, and sometimes they organically promote it to more people. So since you just mentioned you were doing free events, I figured I'd mention that to you, as that should be another good strategy for you. But getting back to the ad campaign section here, so we will recommend an objective for you based on when your customers purchase, where your event is in its sales cycle, but I'd love to give you a little context to let you know why we suggest what we suggest, just for those of you that kind of really like to know this information or might be using something existing already and just want to know the logic. So normally there are three types of objectives we'd run when we are advertising events. This first one, if you're familiar with the Facebook lingo, is called a link click or conversion ad. It's kind of a fancy term for just saying we're running an ad that sends people straight to eventbrite.com to purchase tickets, or your website wherever it's easy for them to purchase tickets, if you're maybe using something like Eventbrite's embedded checkout or something like that. So these ads are normally best when we're in a period where there's actual urgency for our customers to purchase. If our event was an outdoor beer festival event that people are going to wait on, figuring out the weather a couple days before making that purchase, we're 6 months out, we probably wouldn't want to spend half of our budget on an ad going straight to our ticketing pages, as we know there really isn't urgency for our customers to purchase. So one of the best things that you could do is always take a step back and try to imagine yourself in your customer's shoes based on where you are right now in terms of your event's lifecycle, and ask yourself the honest question: if I was going to be attending this event, would I purchase right now, or what's the incentive to actually get me to purchase today compared to maybe waiting a couple weeks later down the road? So this is probably one of the best campaigns to run whenever you are in a period where your customers have urgency to purchase. But if your customers, don't really have as much urgency or still a ways out, I might recommend something like the RSVP ads. Reason being is these are a nice hybrid between driving sales and then also building engagement. So it makes it accessible for those that do want to give you their money, do want to purchase for the event today. They can purchase in the event without having to leave Facebook. But for those that aren't ready, if they engage with the event or hit interested or going, you can then later remarket to them. So you could kind of think about this one as a hybrid between like a campaign that's mainly optimized for sales, sending people offsite to something like Eventbrite or your ticketing website, and kind of a mix of the just general engagement style ads where you can get people to interact with a post or view a video or like your page. Awesome, SL Hayes, virtual self-care retreat. Thank you so much. I appreciate your comment. So these types of ads too as well here generally are kind of best for growing remarketing audiences or getting awareness, but in a lot of cases I might recommend something like an RSVP ad, as that kind of is the best of both worlds. But let's just say you're a ways out or trying to advertise your event before tickets are even available or anything like that. I might recommend you could do something like getting engagement on an existing post or getting more people to view your videos. But one thing to note about when you choose an objective, Facebook will try to help you go after people that are more likely to complete that objective. So if you're running something for engagement, you might target a lot of people that are very prone to liking or sharing or commenting something, but they could be people that never got off their butt in the last 10 years and actually went to a live event, which is sometimes why I suggest maybe running one of these other two objectives. But today, let's roll with the objective of sending people straight to our ticketing pages. You have a couple different options of where you could choose this from. If you wanted to enter a link in yourself here in this section, you could always go ahead and enter something in this section. We also have a Smartlink tool, so if you make things like bit.lys or things like that, we also have our own version of these that you can make in the platform that incorporate really nicely with your ad campaigns. Or if you'd already had an existing post on Facebook that you wanted to boost, very easy to select it. But let's go ahead and just roll with the Eventbrite event option, and we'll hop to the next step. So within this step, we're simply choosing what's the account we want to pay for our campaign with. So just to give you a little context, the way that you basically run ads through Facebook and Instagram via a third-party tool like ours is you still have to pay for the cost of the ads directly over to Facebook or Instagram. So if I wanted to run this with a $50 budget, that $50 charge for however much I'm spending on the campaign gets billed to whatever payment method is on file for what's called this Facebook ad account. So if any of you are in here trying to run ads and you haven't built a Facebook ad account or anything before, don't worry. We have tons of guides helping walk you through that. And we also have, you can always message us via the help section as well, and we can help point you in the right direction of how to get going here. Only takes a couple minutes to get set up fresh if you don't have one of these, so I wouldn't sweat it, but just wanted to let you know that's how you pay for the campaign. So we just choose what's the account that has the payment method set up that we want to pay for the ad with, then what's the Facebook and then Instagram page that we would like to run our ad from. And if you know anything about Facebook pixels, if you're working with multiple, we'll actually automatically install them on your ticketing pages if you select it. If you don't know about Facebook pixels, for a little context, this was how remarketing works. So you ever go to somebody's website, look at a pair of shoes, you're in Facebook or Instagram later, or Google, and you see an ad for that same item you checked out. The pixel serves two main purposes. One, it helps you remarket to people that visit your Eventbrite ticketing pages, and then second, it helps you track purchases that people would make from the ad as long as they're opted into this tracking. This used to be a pretty complicated process for getting this installed, but we actually automate all of it. So if you don't know anything about Facebook pixels, don't even worry, as we're actually handling all this for you automatically, and there's nothing that you effectively have to do. But I figured I'd just give you a little context on what exactly that is, as it is a pretty interesting topic. So the next step, we're simply entering in what's the location targeting that we would like to hit for our event. If you are ever marketing just to the entire US, feel free to leave the box blank. Where my event right here was a digital or virtual event based in the United States, so that's why it just kind of automatically was left blank here. But normally we'll be pulling in the location of the Eventbrite event you select. So if my event, for example, was in New York, it would normally automatically pull in the location radius of New York. You can always edit, but you can always type out any location within here. And there also is a button that you can use towards the top right to pull location mixes from past ads. So we've tried to build this system out that the more campaigns you build in here, the more of like a kind of Mad Lib style process it is. So you're almost filling in the blanks instead of having to redo every single campaign from scratch every time. And down towards the bottom, this is where we can set the age range for who we are effectively marketing to. So within this section, normally in a lot of cases, you're probably leaving it all ages are 18 up, or if you are advertising something that is a little bit more suggestive or has alcohol in the ad creative or mentions that anywhere, you probably want to set the targeting for 21 and up in this section. Is let's say you have a Modelo or something in your ad creative and you're advertising to 18 and up, sometimes that's a problem with Facebook and they'll want you to change that age range target. They're just a little bit sensitive to it, so you might as well save yourself a little bit of trouble. If you know your demo is probably 21 and up anyways, feel free to go ahead and select that. Awesome. So this next section is simply where we are choosing who we would like to target with our ad campaign. We have two different versions of this. I was in the more advanced version, but let's switch this one over to what everybody sees when we first hop in here. So many of you that have maybe built a campaign on Facebook, or the type of targeting that you've probably worked with is something called interest, behavior, or demographic targeting. So if Facebook has enough data on a specific subject or topic or artist or musician or basically anything under the sun, as long as Facebook has enough data on it, you can normally target it. So we had Vanessa in here that was talking about she's throwing a home buying seminar. So the way that we normally end up doing this is we basically would type out kind of the main subject or main topic of our event just to see what effectively we can target on Facebook. It's interesting we can't target everything under the sun. Like right now, Billie Eilish, one of the biggest artists here within the States, but the only Billies that we can actually target, unless they've changed it, were Billie Jean and Billie Holiday. So if you ever type something out and it effectively doesn't show up, it unfortunately means Facebook is saying, like, sorry, we don't have enough data to let you target that. But normally what you'll want to do is just start off entering things related to your event. So Vanessa, for example, was talking about home buying, so we could go ahead and type out home, like home buy, and let's see what we get here. There might be like home buyers, home buy. So in this section, okay, first time home buyers, first time home buyer grant. Basically, you're just generally trying to type out a couple different things here just to see what you could effectively hit. So let's type out like a, maybe first time buyer. That might be one in this section. And normally once you've entered in a couple things within this section, you can actually use this drop down to get suggestions from Facebook on what effectively is very similar that you could add. So Vanessa, you probably know some of the interests for your industry a little bit better than I do, but maybe something else could be real estate investing if they were interested in that. You basically, the easiest way is to just type out a couple things initially that are related to your event, and then you can kind of scroll down and see, what is Facebook actually suggesting here in this section. You also could target, competitors or things like that. So if people were interested in a specific realty agent or Remax or anything like that, you can always add these within this section. So generally, you're just trying to type out, okay, what are a couple topics or things related to our event? So SL Hayes, you were talking about virtual self-care retreat. So maybe we could start off by just typing out like self-care and see what we effectively get in this section. Some of these are a little bit broader. If your event is something like a self-care retreat, we could type out retreat. Let's see what comes up when we end up typing out retreat. So, like a spiritual retreat, that might not be the exact one for you, but that could kind of be in the general realm of what we have going on here. Maybe people interested in like a mindfulness or something like that, health, those might be a couple examples of things that we could do. I could have sworn that mindfulness was an example of what we could put in here. Let's try typing out health. Health and wellness, that might be another example of something that we put in here. And then after you have a couple in here, you can always use that drop down to target things that are similar. So sometimes, just to let y'all know, they might not be 100% because the second one that we have here is Weight Watchers being suggested, but we can always look through here and kind of see what else is effectively in here. Self-help, that might potentially be in there. Yeah, mindfulness and health, kind of general topics. So generally, I just suggest kind of keep it broad on the things that you're entering in initially, get some suggestions from Facebook, and maybe try to have anywhere, I'd say between like, maybe anywhere between 4 to 10 interests here probably in this section. That's what I'd suggest. Guys, there really isn't a right or wrong answer of how many interests to suggest. I've seen people run really good sophisticated ad campaigns just only having 1 or 2 in here. But the downside of that is sometimes the audience might not be big, especially if you're in a small area that you're targeting or a small radius around you. So it's always important when you're kind of entering these, just try to get a feel for, how big is this probably in the area that I'm marketing. But maybe as a good rule of thumb, I'd suggest anywhere probably between around 5 to 10 interests here in this section. So let's just pretend self-help is another relevant interest that we have in here. You also could use these plus buttons, but just to let you know, if I were to hit +2, it's actually going to pull in the next two recommendations from this list that we have here. So let's say you look through these, you think the next 5 are relevant, you could hit +5, but sometimes you'll get some really random stuff if you hit the plus button. So I normally personally like to just kind of look through here and see, what effectively is related here in this section. Maybe I'll choose that myself, and instead of letting Facebook just add the full range of everything, and then we have Sylvester Stallone Expendables 3 as an interest that appears for some odd reason or something like that. So interests, normally the purpose of interest, behavior, or demographic audiences are to help you to go after new people. And the audience that we also configure automatically, which is something that's pretty difficult to do in Facebook that you might not have done before if you didn't really dive into it, is remarketing audiences. So normally, probably when many of you have ran campaigns in Facebook in the past, if you didn't dive into what they call custom audiences or things like that, you're probably actually just marketing to people that were in these interest audiences. And people in interest audiences normally aren't familiar with your brand. It's kind of helping you go after new prospects. But from what we found with our data and all the experiences over the past many years that I've had working with all different sizes of event creators, I generally find that it's always really important to incorporate a remarketing element, especially if you know yourself that my customers are repeat attenders for my events. If I was throwing something maybe like an intro drawing class where once people are done with the intro class they never need to take that again or anything else, use your own context. But if my event is really fitting for people that might want to come a second time or people that really enjoy it the first time, like coming to other times, that's where this remarketing audience is really effectively important, as people that, from the data that we've seen, that have purchased for your events in the past are far more likely than people in these interest audiences to end up purchasing for your event or going a second time. So by default, you actually don't have to do anything, but we're including an audience of people that interact with you on Facebook and your Facebook events. So why I spent a lot of time talking about the importance of Facebook events earlier, and in that campaign example that we looked at, where that creator had around 1,000 people that interacted with his ad, around 600 people that interacted with the Facebook event. Those are all individuals that we can now remarket to. So let's say, for example, they were a couple months out from their event. They got a lot of these remarketing audiences, and now we're a week out from the event. We could run an ad campaign helping us remarket to all the people that initially showed interest at a new time period where we're pretty close to the event when a lot of people are going to be likely to purchase. So that's why I was stressing the importance of just even having good organic content on Facebook and Instagram. Is anybody that interacts with you, you can target them automatically with any campaign you make here. And if you also have your Instagram account, you can remarket to people that interact with you on Instagram, as well as that Facebook pixel that we automatically install. So you can feel free to select that to simply remarket to people that end up visiting your Eventbrite ticketing pages or anywhere else on the web where you put this. Now, for some of you more advanced creators too as well, or first and foremost, if there are any of you in the music or comedy space here, when it comes to interests, it can be a tedious process sometimes as we're researching an artist or a comedian, writing down a huge list of different people to target. We've actually automated this in our platform. So we've built out kind of an integration with Spotify here to help you build interest. So let's say, for example, I was marketing a Beatles cover band. I wanted to target artists that were similar to the Beatles. All I have to do here is type out the artist, and we'll automatically generate an interest audience for you based off of data from Spotify on what are other similar artists. So not sure if there are any music or comedy folks in here as well, but just wanted to take a brief second to show you that one. And for any of you that are looking to dive a little bit more, like, what else can Eventbrite Boost kind of offer for me? I'm a little bit more of an advanced creator. We always have a view that you can switch to that allows you to kind of configure your campaign or audiences in a little bit more detail. So maybe, let's say, for example, I wanted to add in one of those lookalike audiences I was talking about earlier. If I hit this add new button, you can basically see all the different audiences we have, and we have a ton of different audiences for to use. But some of the ones that are probably going to be most impactful for you is actually building audiences off of your Eventbrite data. So with this audience that we have here, this lookalike of past attendees, this is an audience that we could use to go after people that are similar to those that purchased in the past. So this kind of fulfills a similar purpose to the interest audience, helping us go after new people, but it's basically Facebook's almost figuring out the audience for you instead of you having to put in the interest manually. So if you've had a good amount of purchasers in the past, this is probably one of the best audiences that you could add. And we also have something called Smart Audiences in the platform. Basically, what these allow you to do is Smart Audiences allow you to market to people that are purchasing for other similar Eventbrite events in the area, and actually will include that automatically if you don't do anything and you just go through the simple flow. We make it easy for you to incorporate it. So we've really tried to build out a platform for those of you that are a little bit more savvy with this, that want to really dive in, customize things yourself. You're more than welcome to, and it will actually A/B test the audiences. But for those of you that are just kind of looking for a simple way to go ahead and build your target audiences, we built out a way that will automatically include kind of a diverse audience mix. So you're kind of taking the benefit as if a pro or basically a marketing pro or anybody that you were consulting with, a consultancy agency was setting these ads up for you in probably the best practice way without you having to put a lot of thought behind, just the interest that we'd be adding into this section. So y'all, this pretty much out of anything is the most complicated section. I just wanted to take a brief second to pause. Did any of you have any questions on target audiences? Anything in this section I could better cover? This personally for me was one of the most difficult sections when I was learning it. So I just want to make sure that y'all are understanding this, or if there are any questions I could address before we go on with the rest of the easy stuff today, we just take a brief little pause for it. Awesome. So we'll go ahead and jump to the next section. Within this section, we're pretty much in the home stretch of getting our ad live. We're simply entering in what is the date we want our ad to start, and then what's the date we want our ad to end, and then what's the budget that we want to spend on the campaign as well. You can always toggle between a total or daily budget. One of these isn't effectively better than another from a performance standpoint. I'd recommend if you know the budget that you're working with, it's pretty much a fixed budget, just go ahead and do the total budget. But if you might potentially be fluctuating or changing this budget on a daily basis, you might potentially want to do something like a daily spend here instead. But the main thing you just want to be considering in this section is, am I actually advertising during a period where my customers are likely to purchase? And how much am I spending on my ad? And how much am I reserving for other periods where my customers might be likely to purchase? So let's say we are a week out from the event. This would probably be a good point to maybe spend the rest of our budget that we have for the event. But let's say we're 2 months out, we're past the on sale. We know people probably aren't really going to purchase for another month. Instead of maybe running an ad going to our ticketing pages, we might want to run something like a event response or an engagement ad at a very low budget just to kind of build these remarketing audiences so that we could maybe double down on running an ad going straight to the ticketing pages, spending a little bit more budget as we get closer to the tail end of the event. But it's always going to be based on how your customers purchase for your events. But the main point I just want to iterate here is, instead of running one ad campaign that starts on the day your event goes on sale, spending consistently through the day the event happens, you'll probably want to run your ads more in different chunks for maybe a week or two at a time, really focusing on making sure that you're running the right type of campaign that will suggest to you based on when your customers are likely to purchase, and you reserve and are spending kind of the majority of your budget when your customers are likely to purchase as well. And the last step of creating your ad campaign is the ad creative that we're doing here. So we'll automatically pull in an image from the Eventbrite event you selected or from that Facebook event you selected, and you can always click through here to get different previews of what you are effectively working with. But basically within this section, we'll pull in a little bit more detail too as well about your Eventbrite event. So basically the first section that you are configuring is the image or video. I would highly suggest y'all, if you're going to pay any attention to any element of your creative, it really is going to be the image or video that you are using that is the most important. I'd highly suggest try to use nice branded creatives for your brand, even if you need to pay a little bit of money to a designer to have them create it for you. It's generally always going to perform better than just having a kind of an ad that sometimes could look like we pulled it off Google Images or something like that, or it's not branded to our event. Is people from the ad content that you're using, need to be getting a little bit of insight in what is the experience going to be like at this event. A lot of the best ad creatives that I've seen that creators have used is sometimes they'll use little video clip montages of previous footage from their event, whether that's even you as the event creator at the event, filming a couple pieces of content on your iPhone, then going into something like Instagram to make like a little bit of a reel, make a little quick video montage edit, and then use that as your ad creative, or get that to a designer if you have a little bit more money to spend. Generally, you always want to be using good, engaging, prioritizing video content if you have it, but at the very least, images that are branded for your event that actually kind of tell a story about what is the experience going to be like. The reason we go to events is to have these experiences to connect with other people. And a lot of times, if we're just using a non branded image that doesn't really show as much of the character about what the heart of our event is about, it's not going to be that enticing or that kind of that engaging for people to stop and really pay attention to it. So one of the biggest things that I've seen, maybe alongside the targeting or the strategy that I'm running, is you want to make sure your ad creative is giving people insight into what is the experience going to look like. And anytime you can use branded images or video that really kind of showcase what was the experience like at past events for other attendees that had a great time, the better your ad, the better your event is going to sell. So we'll always pull in an image, but feel free, try to incorporate your own good branded images if you have them. I'd always say try to prioritize video content if you have it. And you can always add in multiple images or videos. So if you had a couple, you didn't know which one is effectively going to do better, you can always add in a couple different images here to actually A/B test them. So if I wanted to add in this second image to end up testing it, you can always add in more than one. Our system will showcase whichever one ends up performing better. Now we also do pull in a little bit of default text for the post text, basically pulling in the name of your event, the date, the location effectively, but I'd highly recommend y'all go ahead and just trash what we put in here and try to write the copy yourself. People can see from a mile away sometimes when it looks like a little bit more of a boilerplate copy. And you as event creators, I mean, we're all fun people. We're in this industry for a reason. I know you definitely could think of something in maybe 30 seconds to a minute that's a lot more engaging, that speaks to your brand, the way you communicate with your customers, more than kind of the auto-generated thing that we have here. But if you're feeling lazy and just need to roll with it, you can always roll with the automated text that we have here. The most important things are just make sure that you're letting people know somewhere in some way, shape, or form what's the event, when's it happening, where's the event, and a little context about what's the event about, what's the experience that I'm going to have, and anything that you can do to foster a sense of urgency among the people that would be viewing your ad. Urgency sells at the end of the day. So if you can use language that might get somebody to purchase a little bit faster, or basically explain that urgency, if you know your event's going to sell out, or you have a planned ticket increase in prices that's going to happen at a certain date, you want to communicate that with your customers via the ad, because we can't assume that they're just going to know that off the top of their head. And so the post text generally shows up above the ad on that right hand side. Link headline, this normally shows towards the bottom. Generally, most people just kind of put in the name or the title of their event there, or a little extra context. Link description kind of adds or just explains, why would I be clicking on the ad? Like, where am I going? What am I getting myself into when I click on the ad? And it doesn't show up on every ad placement nowadays, so you can probably just leave it as the default for the link description. And for your call to action, I would highly suggest go ahead and try to use the buy tickets button. Out of any of these that you can be leveraging, this generally is the one that we've seen over time actually is the most effective one for you to be using. So I'd highly suggest go ahead and try to use the buy tickets button, or look through here and see whatever ones are relevant. Even buy tickets for free events too can definitely be relevant, or you could potentially use something like a sign up, or learn more too if you're advertising a free event. And if you ever need to customize your creatives on a per placement basis, so like this image that we have right here looks really, really good for both Facebook and for Instagram, but I want to use something for Instagram stories that's a little bit more nicely branded. You could always change up the image or video that you're effectively using on a per placement basis. So I could swap this one here with this more kind of not horizontal, can't talk today, vertical image that we have, so it's nicely full-sized for Instagram stories. And those are just little things that tend to go a little bit longer of a way in terms of giving somebody a really good ad experience when they interact with it. And y'all, that is effectively the last step of creating the ad campaign. And the nice thing about once you build a campaign, let me just save this one as a draft for an example that we have here. It's very, very easy for us to actually duplicate any campaign that we make or we save as a draft to go ahead and spin up new ads. So basically, I could go ahead and duplicate this campaign that I built. Maybe let's say we had ran the first campaign when our event went on sale. Now we're a week out, want to run another ad. Odds are we're probably still promoting the same event, so we don't need to change anything here. We're running it from all the same pages, so we don't need to change anything here. Our event's probably not changing in a different location, so we could probably leave all of this the same. We might even be using the exact same targeting as what we used in the past ad, so we might be able to skip past this step. Then maybe the only thing that we're doing is setting a new schedule and budget, and then maybe changing up a couple words or one part of the creative in this last section. So instead of having to go through maybe these 6 steps, maybe all that I have to do is maybe change up 2 to 3 steps, and then boom, I have a new campaign running in 30 seconds to a minute. So we've really tried to build out this tool to help automate the hard things of budget optimization, using strong audiences, while making it easier the more and more ads that you end up building. So y'all, those were pretty much the main things that I wanted to talk about today. Just wanted to take a brief pause. Did anybody have any questions? Anything else I could address? Thank you so much for taking out the time too. I know you as event creators, you have so much on your plate, and so I really applaud you too for taking the time to watch to learn a little bit about this, as I know it is. Sometimes it was a little bit of overwhelming information for me, but we've really tried to build out a tool that tries to take the really complicated bells and whistles of running sophisticated ad campaigns and make it accessible for anybody of any level of expertise to get in here and build an ad that will have basically a consultancy or top industry guru performance just for you launching it. So pretty much, y'all, that's the main thing I wanted to take. SL Hayes, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you contributing to the conversation as well, and I hope the virtual self-care retreats go very, very well for you. It definitely sounds like I think something probably all of us could use at a point like this. So thank you so much. And Vanessa as well, thank you. I don't know if you're still watching, but thank you for commenting and helping me out with a little bit of inspiration here today. Y'all, we generally do these every Thursday too as well, so if you ever need to pop back in, ask some more questions, feel free to jump in. But thank you for your time. I hope you have yourself a blessed rest of your Thursday and a fantastic rest of your week as well. Everybody, again, my name has been Sam. Thank you very much, Vanessa. Appreciate you as well, everybody. You can always, just as a reminder, find Eventbrite Boost within this section. If you're using the free tools, I'd highly recommend try out the email and Facebook events. There is a subscription fee associated with the ad campaign thing, but generally, what we're trying to do is help you run stronger ad campaigns. That the optimization that we get basically helps you pay for the service for itself. But we always do have a free trial, so I encourage you just go in, try a free trial of the ad campaign thing, see how it works for you, and definitely let us know if you try one, you maybe don't see the best experiences. We always love to hear your feedback, and we'd always love to give you another opportunity to actually test it out as well. And Sabrina, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your very, very kind comment, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful rest of your day as well. And always feel free to reach out to us via the help button if you have any more questions for me or my team. We've always got a lot of people to help answer your questions and give you more feedback. So thank y'all so much for watching. Have yourselves a blessed rest of your Thursday, and enjoy the weekend too as well, everybody. We'll be here next Thursday doing the exact same thing. So everybody take care and have a good one. Thanks for watching.